Happy Wednesday, Dr. Keesha Ewers here. I want to talk about hot flashes and how to get rid of them naturally. Menopause nowadays is thought of as almost like a disease process, and that really bothers me because it's a natural part of aging for women. Men go through andropause, and this is actually a signal of moving into your next stage of life. But in Western medicine, we actually have an ICD-10 diagnostic code for menopause. So it does make us feel like we are hitting a brick wall sometimes if there are certain conditions that are happening when it's time to go through menopause. So I want to give you a way to move through it gracefully and like it's not a disease. Hi, Shelley. It's good to see you. So menopause, let's first say what it is. Menopause is, in a woman's life, a time when estrogen is beginning to reduce, and particularly it's not just estrogen reducing as a whole. We have 3 different kinds of estrogen, but also the ratios of the kinds of estrogen we have are changing from the time when we are childbearing years. So without a period for 1 year, is actually the definition of menopause. You've been without a period for a year. Now, the time leading up to that point when you've been without a period for a year can either be smooth sailing or it can be a rocky road. And let's talk about ways to make it so it's not a rocky road. Or if you're already on the rocky road, how to smooth it out a bit. Now, one of the things that's true is that your adrenal glands, these are the little guys that respond to stress. They respond to the fight, flight, or freeze impulse from your mind that says things are not going as well as you would like them to. They kick in, and that will then use a lot of progesterone up from your reproductive hormones if you have been stressed for a long time. It's called the pregnenolone steal. So if when it's time for you to go through menopause, if for the last 20, 30, 40 years even, you have had a hypervigilant stress response system, and that can be from early childhood trauma or just kind of a type A high-strung personality for one reason or another, whatever your meanings and beliefs about life are, you might have just wiped out your adrenal function. And in that case, you will draw from your ovarian function because your adrenals are part of what we call the endocrine system. Hi, Susan. And the endocrine system is your hormone-producing system. And that starts with your brain, your pituitary gland, and your thyroid, your adrenal glands, your ovaries, your pancreas. All of these are part of your endocrine system. And everything that I just mentioned will actually either secrete or excrete a hormone. And so when one part of your body is having trouble, the rest of the body will try to kick in and help out. So these, when we help out like that, it makes it so we don't notice that things are going awry for a really long time because the body's busy robbing Peter to pay Paul. So if you've been doing that for a long time and now you're going without a period for a year, it's menopause time, now it's time to pay the piper because now there's no progesterone left over for you to be able to steal from in a stressful situation. So know that hot flashes will occur in response to stress. Any of you that have hot flashes might have realized that already. So hot flashes by themselves are not because of hormones, and your decrease of hormones, but also how you've managed your stress over decades. And that's what a lot of women don't really understand. It's the same with men when you go through andropause. If you've been kind of a stress bunny over a period of years, then testosterone stores won't be available in other areas of your body when it comes time for andropause. So let's talk about some ways you can actually facilitate a smooth transition into menopause and a smooth final chapter of your life, which menopause represents. And I would like to say that menopause, actually, the word pause is in there. And I always say, this is the mystic medicine menopause viewpoint, is it's time for you to really take a pause and evaluate, where am I in my life? Is this where I want to be in my life? I'm moving into the chapter of my life that's all about legacy leaving. Am I leaving the legacy I want to leave? Am I giving myself enough introspective time in my schedule to be able to check in? Am I checking in with my higher consciousness and getting information from that place before I take action into the world? That's the benefit of being the age of menopause, is that now hopefully you've got some wisdom and you know that just going like a hamster on the wheel isn't really a functional way of living life, and it will make you sick. So menopause is that great big tap, big reminder to say, slow down. It's time to pause. Take a pause and really check in. So we're going to talk about some physical ways to reduce the impacts of menopause, like hot flashes. But I also want to mention that this is a huge component. There's a spiritual part of it. There's an emotional part of it. And there's a mental part of it, as well as the physical. So we'll circle back around to that here in a minute. So I do want to talk about some symptoms that happen in menopause if you're going on the bumpy road. So it can be insomnia, right? People, I am 53 right now, and I'm entering into that perimenopausal place. And I always, the minute my head touches the pillow, I'm out and I sleep really well. I actually don't say I sleep like a baby, because babies wake up all night long crying. So I sleep really well though. And I noticed that if I have been burning my candle at both ends at this time of my life, I will wake up warm in the middle of the night. And I've been saying, oh, well, there's that. And so now I'm really careful to take my pause every single day to make sure I'm checking in with my body and in a collaborative relationship with it. So insomnia is a big one. Brain fog is another. Searching for words that you think you should have on the tip of your tongue and probably used to be able to have with your steel trap mind, now not so steel trap. Maybe more like a sieve, right? As thoughts go through really fast, and it's hard to retrieve those memories, those thoughts, and those words as you're speaking. And again, I'm kind of noticing that with a word every once in a while. And so I say, oh, there's that. And I'm going to talk about why that happens here in a second. And then vaginal dryness is another one that can happen. And, women will say to me, it feels like I have cut glass in my vagina. When that's happening, when you're having intercourse, that's not a good scene, obviously. And your body doesn't like pain. So when you feel like you have cut glass in your vagina when you're having sex, it's time to take care of it pretty quickly. Otherwise, your body will learn that sex is painful, and you won't have libido anymore, because it'll be like, oh, that hurts. Why would I want to get lubricated? Why would I want to have desire for this thing that hurts? And so then your muscles will constrict and contract, and you won't be relaxed. So again, really important to hop right on it. And then the hot flashes. Sometimes it'll be at night, sometimes during the day, sometimes all day. Sometimes people get woken up by a hot flash like it's their alarm clock. And then also weight gain, particularly in the belly area. Belly fat is a big complaint I hear from my clients that are going through menopause in a bumpy way. So all of these things really important for you to address. And then also drying skin and thin skin and drying hair and loss of hair is another one that if you're going through menopause in a bumpy way. So according to Ayurvedic medicine, which I've talked a lot about, is 10,000-year-old sister science of yoga from India, the medical framework of yoga, you could say. Ayurveda in Sanskrit means science of life. And so it's a way of you understanding how to be in right relationship with yourself, your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical self through all the stages of your life, including menopause. Now, one of the things that Ayurveda talks about are these different body types or doshas, and that's your constitution. And when you're born, you have a certain stage of life, like I was just saying, and your constitution. So, for example, I'm a Pitta Kapha. Pitta people have more fire and water in them, which means they're very smart. They have a sharp tongue, a sharp mind, a good memory, and are more prone to heat-related things, i.e. hot flashes and inflammation. And their body type is usually normal with red undertones in their skin, ruddy. And then it's more like medium everything, medium lips, medium hair, medium bones, all of those things are just middle of the line, medium, unless you've burned yourself out, and then you can become overweight. Vaada people, Vaada time, well, we'll talk about time of life here in a minute, but Vaada people are thinner. So either short or tall, thinner bone structure, thinner lips, thinner hair, thinner skin. They tend to learn things really quickly, but also forget them just as quickly. They're the life of the party, very, very bouncy in their mind and focus and body, tend to really like cardiovascular bouncy things. Kapha people tend to have a larger bone structure, thicker skin, thicker hair, and are very grounded and loyal, but can also collect things, as in collect weight, collect water, collect mucus, collect, things like acne will have junk inside of it, right? So it'll be cysts and boils and pus, things like that, fibroids. Those are all kapha imbalances, in addition to sugar problems, glucose problems. So, you can become a diabetic if you're a kapha and you're unaware and you eat a lot of sugar. So this is one of the things that's important for us to understand, is we're not all the same. But then you also have a Vaada, Pitta, Kapha stage of life. So Vata is going to be the last stage of life. That's going to be, as Susan says, hot waves, not hot flashes. That's when you start having some of these things happen that we were just talking about. Everything dries up, right? I said it's dry skin, dry hair, dry nails. Vaada naturally has that. They also forget easily, and every air-filled space can be impacted, as in the colon, the intestines. They can dry out, which causes constipation. So your memory will dry up, your vaginal lubrication will dry up, your bowels dry up and you become constipated. And so these are all things that older people complain about all the time. You're entering Vaada stage of life when you're going into menopause. Kapha stage of life, remember I said it's all about mucus and extra, weight and water. Well, you can think of kids when they're born as little blocks of clay. They're actually getting built, right? And so it's kapha stage of life, and there's a lot of mucus coming out of them. And then fire is pitta. Well, that's the time we get our hormones. So the time that our hormones come in, we start our periods. Then for men, the voices drop and their testosterone comes in. From that point until andropause and menopause, it's pitta time of life. It's the fire needed to get a mate, to get educated, to really wind up doing what you're supposed to do for your living, your life purpose. You're on that journey in pitta stage of life. So drying up is as Susan said, mic drop, #dry. That's the stage of life. It's Vaada time of life. Now, if you know that, and that's the beauty of Ayurveda, is it kind of tells you this is coming, then you know that that's a natural thing to happen, and you want to start mitigating it, which means, you want to make sure you're moisturizing the outside of your skin and the internal organs. So having more soupy, cooked, warming foods rather than dry, crunchy, raw ones. It's harder on your digestive system after menopause to eat raw salads, particularly if it's cold outside. So you're going to want to pay attention to that. Yep, pitta's fire, Susan. So really important, if you want to mitigate or alleviate these signs, that you understand that moisture is the key. And so you want to do everything you can to moisturize. Now, does this mean taking HRT or hormone replacement therapy? Sometimes appropriate and oftentimes not, because if you actually do the root cause and really talk about, okay, Vaada has kicked in, what can I do to mitigate Vaada? And why are my hormones off in the first place? Have I been a stress bunny my whole life? And so in that case, there's some stuff that I'm going to talk about what to do. So let's talk about food and what we can do to help with hot flashes. Now, alcohol is a huge one for instigating hot flashes. So ladies and men who are in andropause, just don't drink it. Alcohol has zero good stuff for you, even though the front of Time magazine years and years ago said a glass of wine every night is good for your heart. That's not true for everybody, and it's not the actual wine. It's the resveratrol that's in the wine. So there are several things that have to do with that, but it's not the alcohol itself. So alcohol will actually cause hot flashes. So does sugar. Another really important one. And women are always coming in and saying, gosh, I have this flabby abby that I've never had before. And they'll grab their abdomen as they're sitting there and say, I could never grab this before. And now I can, and I hate it. And so I talk about this. Well, guess what? We actually do not need as many calories in Vaada stage of life as we did in Kapha stage of life. We're no longer little lumps of clay that are trying to grow and become humans. We actually are going out. Okay, this is the last stage of life. This is where we exit Earth. And we don't need as many calories anymore. We need fewer. So you need to start thinking about the way Ayurveda talks about just eat what can fit in your cupped hand in every meal or in a rice bowl, and eat slowly. Your digestive system's not as healthy and strong as it was when you were in your Pitta stage of life. So really, really, really important. Reduce your calories. Eat only in an 8-hour period, like between 9 and 5. Don't eat at 8 p.m. at night if you really want to get rid of that flabby abby. Reduce or eliminate, I would say eliminate sugar entirely if you have hot flashes. Does that mean you can't have treats? Absolutely not. In fact, I'm going to show you something. Last night, my daughter asked me to make a treat when I got home from work. She'd made dinner, and I said, sure, honey. And she said, I want you to make your magic bars. My magic bars, I've actually put the recipe up on my Facebook page, and it's in the bonus section of my new cookbook that's just on pre-sales right now. So when you go to my website, DrKeesha.com, then there's a place where you can pre-order the cookbook, and you also get the bonus recipes. Now, the bonus recipes include these little guys. These are my magic bars. They're sugar-free. They have almond butter in them, and instead of having sugar, I actually use lohan or monk fruit. Sorry, they're melty. Here in my purse. I brought them for everybody in the office today. So they use lohan or monk fruit as the sweetener, which has a glycemic index of 1 rather than a glycemic index of 60, which is what sugar has. So that's really important for your hormone system. Your pancreas doesn't have to kick in and work overtime to eat these. The chocolate on there, Susan says, I want a treat. Yeah, it's so good. People often say when I say get rid of sugar, they think I'm trying to deprive them of sweetness in their lives, and that's not accurate. So the chocolate is Lily's chocolate chips that are stevia sweetened. And you cook them on the stove with some almond butter and some vanilla and a little sea salt. And that's the top part, and then the bottom part is almond butter and vanilla and sea salt and some coconut flour and the lohan or monk fruit. So there's no sugar in these little bad boys, and they're so good. And you put them in the freezer, and then you can cut them into little squares. So I usually will keep a pan of them in the freezer when I know I have a gathering coming up, and I do Saturday for Memorial Day. We're having a family gathering, so I made them last night. So, and I'll make like a triple batch of them. This is a great way to not have hot flashes because it helps you to have something on hand if you get a little sweet treat craving that you can have that's not going to drive your pancreas into the ground and cause your whole hormone system to go awry, and that causes hot flashes when you're in this stage of life. Okay, so sugar is a big one. And my new cookbook, it's called the Quick and Easy Autoimmune Paleo Cookbook. Anti-inflammatory recipes with 7 ingredients or less for busy people. That's a long title. And you can get it at DrKeesha.com on pre-sales right now. And it's full of those kinds of recipes that have 7 ingredient categories or less. And they're super simple to make because that's how I roll. I'm a really busy person, so I wrote this for all the people that come to me and say, I'm too busy to be in the kitchen. These little guys that I just showed you took me 10 minutes. I didn't even have to turn on the oven. So it's just really simple. Okay, that's what I like simple. So reducing sugar. Another one is making sure you're not having processed foods. Now, what do you focus on then if you can't have processed foods, alcohol, and sugar, and caffeine? By the way, caffeine will also, it's very, very, very hot flash producing, coffee is, and black tea and green tea if it has caffeine in it. So if you're having hot flashes, get rid of those things and see if it'll help as you do these other things I'm talking about too. Remember, the hot flashes don't come from one thing. It's not just one smoking gun. It's going to be a combination of what I call critical mass that makes your boat capsize. So you want to do several different things to equalize the weight and stabilize your boat. All right, so then what do you eat? That's the big thing is after the don'ts, you have to have the do's. So what you do eat, really focus on cruciferous vegetables, and those are going to be your broccoli and kale and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts. All of those guys are cruciferous vegetables. Cook them or juice them. So I also have for breakfast this morning my little thing that it's my thermos of juice, and this has inside of it juiced cilantro, which is very cooling. You cannot have hot flashes if you drink juiced cilantro every day, or parsley and celery. All these things are very cooling. And, you know, I said raw vegetables are hard for Vaada stage of life. Well, guess what? This is not something your body has to digest because it's already juiced. So this has 12 cups of vegetables that have been reduced to this thermos as juice. Now, people always ask me, so can I juice fruit? Can I juice carrots? Can I juice beets? They have a lot of sugar. Again, in my new cookbook, I have juice recipes in there, and they don't have sugar in them. And it's the way that I eat every morning. I've got that with some collagen powder in it from Great Lakes. It's the Great Lakes Green Label collagen that I use, 3 tablespoons in that thermos. I shake it up. And now my juice has protein in it too. It's a fantastic breakfast. I love it. And I'm not yet into my 8-hour period of eating. And so we're at just a little bit to 9. I'm going to eat at 9, and then I'll stop eating today at 5. And that helps so that I don't get that belly fat, that extra fat. So really important. Oh, you're welcome, Susan. Now, other things you can eat. Oh, I'm going to show you my lunch. This is all like improv. I didn't realize I was doing this. Okay. Omega-3 fish oil helps to reduce hot flashes. And if you have it in fatty fish, really good. Again, one thing that I eat at least 4 times a week, sardines. People always giving me a hard time about my sardines. I post about them all the time and they're like, ew, yuck. And I actually posted a whole list of things on Facebook last week about all of the benefits of sardines. Reducing hot flashes is another one. And you want to make sure, I don't like sardines actually. And so I talk about the benefits of them all the time, but I really don't like them. And this is the only kind I've found. And I don't have any same with Great Lakes Collagen. I've got no affiliation with them. I just happen to really like their product. Same with Season brand. I'm promoting them and I don't have any affiliation with them. But I really like this particular sardine. And it's non-genetically modified. It's wild caught and certified everything. It doesn't have BPA on the can. So I really like these guys. And I can tolerate, I'm not going to say I love it, but I can tolerate the taste of this. So that's my omega-3. And people will say, well, I don't like sardines. Well, I don't either. But guess what? Yeah, gross, Susan says. But guess what? I don't always love what I eat. If I know my body likes it, then I eat it. And then sardines have a really high level of calcium in them too, which is very important at this stage of life. So talking about calcium, carbonated beverages, I often get asked, what about bubbly water? Can I have that? I get asked that all the time, probably at least once a day. And no, I didn't put this in a recipe, Dana. I just eat them right out of the can. I pour the oil off to my dogs, my 3 dogs, and they love it. They love it when mom has lunch. And then I'll save one of the fish in the can for them and split it into 3s, and I give that to them, and then I eat the rest of them. It's really just like out of the can. Classy, classy girl that I am. So carbonated beverages increase Vaada. So it's what we call vitiating Vaada. And so those air bubbles are going up. When we eat and we drink, it's supposed to go down. That's that burping and belching that you get with carbonation. The older you get, the less you can tolerate that. They are not good for you. It's not just soda pop. It's also all the carbonated, healthy waters. Do not have them with bubbles, you guys. It also inhibits your ability to absorb calcium, which will create bone loss in your teeth and in your bones. And yesterday I just had a patient that has to go in and have 2 teeth pulled because of crowns that have cracked. She drinks soda water every single day. It's so important not to do that. So, okay, I'm off of that one. Let's see. And probiotics. Probiotics are also really important for making sure that you don't have hot flashes, because a healthy microbiome, really important. Okay, now, let's see if I've got everything. Exercise. Exercise will help reduce hot flashes. Most important time of your life almost to exercise is right now during menopause and perimenopause. So please exercise. And what you want to do, oh, I'm glad your son loves sardines, Dana. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you are exercising in a way that you like, so that it's not a drudge for you. If people like to watch television or Netflix or movies, I tell them, get a little rebounder, put it in front of your television, get some free weights, put it in front of your television. For every minute you watch a screen, I want you to be bouncing or using your weights or doing sit-ups, strengthening your core, whatever it is. Move. And when you're at work in a sedentary life, make sure you get up and you walk every hour. And I've just bought a treadmill desk. I'm really excited about it. So my husband has just put my 2 monitors up on my treadmill desk. And when I do interviews from now on, I'm going to be on my treadmill. And it's not in this office, but in my home office. So some of these Facebook Lives going forward, I'm going to be on my little treadmill desk. So the really important one to do also. Meditation, any stress reduction technique that you can do. On DrKeesha.com, I have this really remarkable program called the Stress Busting Toolkit. If you master that, your hot flashes will go away. Because remember that hot flashes are a result of your fight or flight response, not so much about your hormones going down as a result of age, but of the bucket being empty because of age and how you've dealt with your stress your whole life. Susan's asked me what fish oil to use. Now, fish oil is an important one. It's kind of like probiotics. You get what you pay for, because fish oil can be full of toxins. The one that's in my store that's called Omega Avail, I like that one the best because we actually vet it. We have it independently tested for toxins. And that's really important. And then that's why I eat sardines, is because these are small fish. Small fish are lower in toxicity than big fish. Big fish eat small fish, so then your toxins build up in the belly of the big fish who are eating all these other fish that are toxic. So the bigger the fish, the higher the toxic level. So that's an important one. Okay, and then sleep. You have to sleep. And if you're in perimenopause or menopause and have insomnia and hot flashes are waking you up, then you're not going to be sleeping. So again, it's important that you get that stress busting toolkit mastered. You just really have to master that. We have got this lovely little, there are certain herbs that will help with hot flashes too. Menoflash is this one that we use. I was just talking about it at the Academy for Integrative Medicine Health Coach Certification case study call last night. And I was saying, oh yeah, Menoflash works so well because guess who's using it? Me. So I told you that I've been starting to wake up a little warm. Well, that is a trigger for me to know it's time to do testing. And I haven't done my adrenal and hormone testing for probably a year now, so it's time to do it. So remember I said I was going to circle back around on this? If you'll do testing for your hormones and also for how well you're metabolizing your hormones, because this is a time of life also when your risk for estrogen-related problems like estrogen-dominant cancers can come up. And so there are 2 tests I like everyone to do, and that one is you can go on DrKeesha.com, Susan, and you'll see the cookbook and the fish oil in the store is the fish oil. So just go over DrKeesha.com, and then on the right-hand side it says store. And you can also see their lab kits there. press on lab kits and you'll see adrenal, saliva, and hormone tests. Do that if you're having hot flashes, because taking hormones without testing saliva is really, really dangerous. I want you to make sure you understand that. Blood plus saliva helps us understand what's available in the bloodstream, bioavailable, and then what your body's getting rid of and using. So then we know if we have to go shopping, which means get you some more hormone and put it in your refrigerator inside, or teach your body how to use what it has properly. So I don't do hair for hormones, Susan, I do saliva. So it's a salivary adrenal and hormone test. And then there's another one, and I have breast cancer in my family, and I've already had it once. So I do another yearly estrogen metabolite test. And so that's another very important one to do. So that plus the other helps you know where you're at. And then you can make adjustments, and you likely won't have to be on hormones, particularly forever. People shouldn't have to be on hormones forever. It's just supposed to get your bucket so it's got enough in there to deal with. Then you want to get your factory back online so that you're making your own. And, you know, there's a lot of research about HRT and some alarmist things that have happened around it. And OBGYNs will say, it's bad, 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 bad. But bioidenticals done for a short period of time, if they're warranted from your lab testing and you're metabolizing them well, you are not at risk for cancer. So it's just, in Western medicine, we don't do all of that. We just give you a synthetic hormone and send you on your way, and then don't follow up to see how your body's using it and what it's doing with it. So that's the difference. That's functional medicine versus Western medicine. Another one at this time of life that I do with people is heavy metal testing. And that's because as you're aging, your bones are starting to lose their density. It's called bone resorption. And heavy metals that have gotten stored, toxins get stored in your fat and in your bones. And as those start releasing the innards, they go back out into your system, you're now re-exposed to heavy metals, and it can make you honestly feel crazy. It can be part of the mood swings people have, and it will lead to osteoporosis. So that's part of what I like to have people at my age and over also do, because the chelation process needs to also be done very gently and very mindfully in concert with adrenals, because if your adrenal glands are not healthy and happy, you can't chelate heavy metals and have your body remain stable. You'll go batshit crazy. Sorry, everybody, but that's actually how you feel. And mercury gets taken out of your bones, and then that's the Mad Hatter syndrome, and it will really make you feel like you can't control your mood. It's awful. So that's my little take on natural ways of moving through menopause gracefully rather than the rocky road. And remember, menopause means to pause, everybody. Evaluate, where are you in your life? What is it that you want to leave behind as your legacy? And take some time every single day for self-care for yourself. Susan, to book an appointment with me on my website on DrKeesha.com, it says apply to be a patient. You fill that little, it's just a short few little questions out, and then my number 2 will call you. Her name is Nikki, and she'll get everything set up and get all testing that she will check in with me. And then when you see me, you on the phone, you actually will have your lab testing done, and we can go through it together, and you'll have a protocol that you can move forward with. All right, happy Wednesday. That was your Wellness Wednesday tip. And I want everybody that's in this stage of life to move into wise woman elder stage, not baddie, can't remember where I parked my car stage of life. All right, take care, everyone.